Hi, my name is Pramila Mullan and I'm with Accenture Ventures. I'm here today with Kimberly Bryant, founder and CEO of Black Girls Code. Kimberly grew up in Memphis, Tennessee and earned her degree in electrical engineering at Vanderbilt University. Initially, she started her career at Westinghouse Electric and DuPont. She then pivoted into biotechnology and subsequently pharmaceuticals with work experience at amazing companies like Pfizer, Merck, Genentech, and Novartis. In 2013, Bryant was recognized as the White House Champion of Change for Tech Inclusion. She was also voted one of the 25 most influential African Americans in technology. What an amazing honor. Kimberly, if I'm right, you founded BGC in 2011.
Yes.
What has been your biggest challenges building this organization?
The biggest challenges in building BGC have really been around how to reach this increasing demand for programs like those that we do that engage girls from underrepresented communities. The demand is huge. There's just not a lot of technology programs and coding in schools, and particularly ones that nurture and support girls of color. So growing an organization that has, very limited resources but has a huge demand has been a challenge for us, but also something that we kind of take on willingly to grow as an organic organization.
Along with the challenges come some successes. Can you share with us the impact that BGC has had since inception?
Sure. When we started back in 2011, we had a much smaller vision, if we had a vision at all. It was just 6 girls, including my daughter, and I did not necessarily see that this organization would move anywhere beyond the Bay Area. But I think one of the successes for us, undoubtedly, is how we've seen this organization grow from a small grassroots local organization to one that has multiple chapters across the U.S. and a chapter outside of the U.S. in Johannesburg. That's a tremendous success, because starting with just those 6 girls and now being able to reach 10,000 and even more than that in terms of the influence the organization has had has really been amazing and something that we didn't expect in the beginning.
And yet there are so many parts of the globe that are still untouched.
Absolutely.
With so many opportunities.
Absolutely.
Now, in Silicon Valley and other places, there's been this aspirational momentum for equality in the workplace. Equality both in terms of numbers as well as in terms of compensation. Yet the numbers for African Americans are particularly, I'd use the word abysmal.
Yes.
You quoted earlier, and my research also found that it's really less than 3% in the technical community. It's an uphill battle for sure.
Yes.
And it's an uphill battle that we have been working on for a number of years, and yet we don't seem to see enough progress. In the Valley, we see many entrepreneurs who are mostly focused on for profit. That's the mantra. Is there a role for social entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
And what is the difference?
I really don't think there is a difference between doing business for profit and doing business for good. I think you can do both. I think the way to do that is to bring a diversity of perspective and founders to the table. If you pattern match for only one type of CEO, then the results in terms of the businesses you create are going to be very predictable. I think the benefits of organizations like Black Girls Code and others that work to create more diversity and inclusion in the field is because those entrepreneurs, those leaders bring a different focus in terms of how they use technology to solve problems and what they work on with the technology. So someone asked me recently, like, does Black Girls Code address social good? Does it change society? And I think that it does, because it allows us to create creators, innovators who are addressing issues that move society forward, and thus become profitable businesses in the work that they do. So I don't see there being any discrepancy between being a for-profit business and one that creates social good in the world. I think there's a possibility to do them both, and those businesses are probably the most successful in the end.
So, what recommendations would you give for founders to create that culture from the beginning, from the get-go? Because that culture becomes such an important aspect of having that social entrepreneurship.
I find that as a founder myself, growing an organization that started as a grassroots one and is now finally finding we have the resources to scale and build our team, that the most important thing in creating a culture that's inclusive is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think it's easy. I see it. I get it. Like, it's easy to hire and bring onto your team those folks that look like you, those folks that think like you, those folks that come from the same background as you do. But that's not where the magic happens. The magic happens when I can bring in someone who has a totally different way of looking at the world, but we can look at a similar problem or a singular problem together and find a more ideal solution than if I just brought in someone that thinks exactly like I do. Now, that's not easy. We have dealt with this even on our small team as we've started to grow, but we know that we really want to be a model for inclusion in this space. We have to walk the talk, and we have to do it ourselves. We have to model the behavior that we hope to see in the industry. And that means doing the things that are uncomfortable and making the difficult choices to bring on a diversity of thought, perspective, experience onto the team that we work with each and every day.
And everyone is so much stronger for that.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree with you more. Now, what for aspiring entrepreneurs, what are your top 3 pieces of advice that you would offer? And I'd like to use that as a closing.
I would offer 3 things. I think one thing for BGC that has made us very successful in the work that we do is that we built community from the beginning. We put our efforts in community from the beginning. So it was this community that we were supporting and that we were doing this work for that picked us up when we fell down, or picked us up when we needed $10,000 to get through the next phase cycle. The community absolutely always comes through. So as you're building a company, look at building your community right from the start. I would say another thing, the second thing would be to be open to not getting it right on your first try. Like, we have always considered ourselves a learning organization, meaning we knew nothing when we started this business, absolutely nothing. And there have been times when we didn't always make the right decisions, we didn't make the right choices, we didn't always know how to do the right thing. But being willing to go through that learning process while we have grown and while we are building has helped us to achieve a lot more than we probably could have done if we wanted to have everything in order before we made our first move. And then my final thing would be, look at your competition as potential collaborators. I think especially when we look in the social impact space, we often fight for crumbs from the table and move the needle just a little bit without thinking from perspective that if we work together and maximize what each of us do well, we can make significant and more seismic shifts in the space that we're trying to create change in. And I think getting out of that bubble of competition to more of a thought of collaborative change allows us to really make great changes in the world.
Well, Kimberly, what an amazing journey.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations for your award
you very
tonight.
much.
And
Thank you.
thank you for the change that you are imparting on the next generation.
Thank you so much.
We truly appreciate it.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it as well. Thank you.